unknown developer followed your recent endeavors regarding the researches undertaken on the latest unknown developer's creations. The unknown developer deeply appreciates your commitment, and, saddened by the obnoxious allegations you referred in the video the channel is changing, wants to express a sympathetic opinion on the course of the described facts. Your work on shedding light on the unknown developer's games has always been accurate and on point. Despite the occasionally cloudy moments such a deep research can usually lead to, the events following your You Are the Game discovery sharing video are undoubtedly a matter of your own consciousness, but the unknown developer would like to remind you that kindling hateful emotions is not what the above mentioned creations are aimed for. Your diligent work on analyzing and sharing the unknown developer's games has no reason to be hindered by any doubtful claim. Instead, the unknown developer believes you must be rewarded for your continued efforts by giving you a free download key for the latest creation, Athalia. The download key can be used with no limits of time, as many times you want, but by just one registered account. Thus, be careful in sharing the link above. The unknown developer takes this opportunity to clarify once more the nature about the free redistribution prohibition of the Athalia files. It only affects the files themselves, and not any kind of static, image and text or dynamic, sound and video, sharing of their content. Hence, researches, analysis, and videos are fully welcomed, and, specifically in your case, even personally endorsed by the unknown developer. As with any other unknown developer communication, you're free to share this entire message with anyone, with no restrictions whatsoever.
Hello everyone, welcome to Reloading Theory, the only show on YouTube that doesn't milk a horse to death. Wait, I think I got that wrong. On top of that, hold on a second, I need to fix this. Here we go, move a little bit here and there, and we're done. You can't do anything now, huh, Mad Pat? I can already feel the cease and desist papers coming at me.
Absolute mad lad!
But enough about sellouts, let's talk about this. I've been gone for a couple days, but let's face it, you don't care. Not one single. Hey, Jose, how are you doing? Just checking if you're still alive, bro. On top of that, it seems like more people subscribe when I don't upload videos. You guys are literally subbing to me to stop YouTubing. Well, that would be true, because I actually want to share something. Someone known as Zaya Hudgens, I hope I pronounced that right, I'm sorry if I didn't, sent this to me and I really appreciate it. As I've told her, I really enjoy the eyes and the combination of my logo along with the unknown developer, so thank you a lot to Zaya. So besides that one person who showed that they care, my fugly ass face won't be in this video because the real star is the unknown developer, or should I say developers? I'm just kidding, I have no evidence to prove if there is more than one person working on this. Athalia. Pretty much this one has made my mind go into weird spots, but before I tell you my theories, I have to show you the things, which I still wonder why they are identified as things and not games. So let's go over the Athalia page, where it reads, Athalia is a new provision designed to deal in a practical way with situations in which a developer who has a conflicting interest is not able to comply fully with the disclosure requirements because of an extrinsic duty of confidentiality. The developer may, for example, be prohibited from making full disclosure because of restrictions of law that happen to apply to the transaction or professional canon. Athalia resolves the aforementioned issues, providing a thorough explanation of the previously narrated events. Thus, a full disclosure is therefore presented. A monetary fee is required to ensure the beneficiary identity. Hence, free redistribution, I don't know why I can't read, is strictly prohibited. Along with that, in this new thing, Athalia comes with Athalia the zip file, which is the thing, Joseph an MP3 that I will show you, and Abner a PNG that I will also show you. But before all that, let's start with Athalia.
Why are we still here?
Avoid bad and lascivious companions. Never converse upon loose subjects, except with doctors as may give you salutary lessons upon the evil effects of licentious habits. Avoid sedentary habits and solitary places, if they engender impure imaginations. And above all, never read obscene books or look upon exciting pictures. Never sleep alone, but with some moral and estimable nurse, whose good opinion you so much value that you would fear in his presence to commit a sin, however strongly tempted. Let the beauty and dignity of true virtue be constantly in your mind, and preserve you from evil thoughts and actions. After her ceremony, the doctor fixed the day of departure, that each may prepare necessary provisions for the campaign, during which interval the nurses repair evening and morning to the rendezvous, where after bleeding and recounting their exploits, they sing the song of death. They hold in one hand their liquor, which is a kind of lube, and in the other their spirits, which they present to the patients, calling upon them to burst upon their heads. The principle is generally reasonable, that the same difficulty should be found in obtaining a proper woman as in obtaining a proper subject, and unless the former is a man the latter will only find him a clog and encumbrance, while to the authorities he is a mistake. Ours is no remarkable one of good men and true or educated, even accomplished women for such important posts, but we do want our prominent women everywhere to be better informed on this subject, if it be only enough to distinguish the counsel of an eminent and tried architect or engineer from the extorted, hesitating, meek remarks of some ignorant or cowed doctor. The long view is the important view. Belief is engendered by a certain amount of fear and terror from an authoritative level, and this will be followed by obedience. On the subject of obedience itself, the most optimum obedience is unthinking obedience. The command given must be obeyed without any rationalization on the part of the subject. The command must therefore be implanted below the thinking process of the subject and must react upon him in such a way to bring no mental alertness on his part. In her imprisonment, all manner of vexation and sorrows was inflicted upon her, in order to induce her to conform to the common code of worship, and to turn her from her own with whom she had hitherto associated. But as she could not consent to this, and time passed on, she, because of the bad fare and other hardships suffered, continually pleased herself till her soul left her body, and she thus, because of her faithfulness, became, through natural death, an heir of the eternal and blissful life. He craned his head out at the window and watched the scene. The tall man who had personally assailed her seemed to lead the band, and all except their clamor, working eagerly, directing in undertones. They had brought a ladder from the shore, apparently provided for such an emergency, and placed it against the wall, with a view to an escalade. None of these was the picturesque figure of loyalty in exile that he should care to paint for his young woman. The murderer has not been discovered, nor indeed have we the most important evidence that there was a murder at all. It is known that whenever one kills, and thereby through ignorance occasion pain and distress to the person killed, the consequence, which is not hidden, is that his retribution for this act is likewise composed, as was his act of ignorance and the infliction of pain. Then this being so, he avoids killing is recompensed by the opposites of those two. Then nothing attacks him in order to harm him, for why should anything attack him, since any two antagonists are equal in his view, so that he sees them as one form and as having one and the same degree. There has never been a thorough investigation into their deaths. The charges have been reduced to an important peculiarity of the local business, having notes going to protests. Moreover, any careful examination of the later events and of their circumstances show clearly that some method more trustworthy than individual preference must be found if we are to distinguish between those of their variations which have, and those which have not, some authority behind them. I told her the strength of my legs, and proposed going to the jail, which she consented to. There was a key, stuck up in a green box, which was put through a hole made in the lid of a box, kept under lock and key, and opened only once a year. She took me home to supper, giving me lobster and oysters, both of which she knew I was very fond of, and plenty of rum punch, with my head full of which I went home, and as I would not tell where I had been, I received a smart flogging from the arm of my old operator, Dr. Royston. The work of the laboratory consists in the chemical examinations of various private secrets. Raw materials purchased for the factory or submitted from outside sources are examined, and toxicological analysis made in cases where rat poison was suspected. Actual tests on live rats are also carried out whenever necessary to ensure that the preparations are not toxic, and to test whether in the form submitted they are sufficiently attractive to rats. A large amount of work done at the laboratory has been at the request of firms who either manufacture or are desirous of manufacturing their preparations. This is especially the case with the owl preparations. Pale, she has stepped forward to stage her massacre, her large eyes crazed with ecstasy and terror, and her voice, her dance, her lean hypnotic body have served the dark assistant as dread intoxicants. In the arms of her triumphant master, suddenly she has cried out, closing her eyes as if she were a child. Afterward, the man, relaxed, descends into a bestial slumber, caught as much within a horror of love as of dark death. Her conscience free, woman has lashed out at man. Coldly and with slow determination, she has sliced off his head. This mismanagement has itself in a great measure arisen from dark cabals and secret suggestions to persons in power, without a regular public inquiry into the good or evil tendency of any measure or into the merit or demerit of any person entrusted with her concerns. He was wise, he saw mysteries and knew secret things. He brought us papers of the days before the crime. He went on a long journey, was weary, worn out with labor. Returning, he rested. He engraved on her skin the whole story. Let him be ever ready to strike, his prowess constantly displayed and his secrets constantly concealed, and let him constantly explore the weakness of his foe. Let him hear in an inner apartment the doings of those who make secret reports and of his spies. Thus the act which secures supreme bliss have been exactly and fully described. Now the secret portion desire of benefiting mankind, this whole most excellent secret of the society law. There is not one within the sound of my voice tonight that is not profoundly grateful for the fact that, fired by this spirit of self-confidence and non-modesty, that kindly heart and masterly mind during those dark and stormy years of incomparable bliss was moored in tearless silence. She was physically and mentally depressed. I observed nothing very peculiar in her voice. I did not expect a strong voice, and it was not particularly weak. That was when I first entered the room, but her voice became weaker. She complained that her breathing was painful, but it did not seem hurried. I remember the soft summer winds, and the whispered words I spoke of you. I remember the shimmering water, and the endless hours I spent with you. I remember the shining sun, and the warm hypnotic body of you. I remember the bellowing sails, and holding the main sheet tautly with you. I remember so very much of you, and so many things I did with you, but I have forgotten your name. Still with me? Good! Now if you actually listened to everything instead of just skipped on forward, because I know some of you do that. I see you. The weird thing about this one is that it reads as if someone, a certain developer, is a doctor who sounds like they are talking about doctor-patient confidentiality, where the doctor cannot talk to anyone else about a patient's case. That being said, it makes sense why Athalia is also as confusing. It seemed like all those slides had different sentences that really didn't structure into one whole paragraph. And believe me, I've tried mixing and matching. Maybe the slides were in different orders, but people in the Discord have also found out that some of these slides come from other sources. And my question to that is, why? I will tell you why! In the webpage Athalia, you see that the developer says, for example, be prohibited from making full disclosure because of restrictions of law that happen to apply to the transaction or professional canon. In other words, maybe some of these areas are either red herrings or, as previously used, meant for symbolism, and it is up to us to find out what they truly mean. If you didn't know already, these three things already have meanings behind them as well. Athalia, Josepheth, and Abner, which I will discuss with you a little bit later. But it's important to point out certain things that the unknown developer has said in this one. For example, Dr. Royston makes an appearance where someone decided not to disclose information to him and he beats her. There's another one where people have died, one from the hands of a woman that we don't know, or at least I don't know, as well as two other people that have died and the murder was never solved. Could this be saying that Melissa has already died? Is that the reason for you are the game in the end? There also seems to be a procedure on how to brainwash someone into blindly following you without question. It's funny how the unknown developer is trying to use this to answer questions, when in reality it just brings more. At least for me. I told you, I'm an idiot. I don't understand most of this stuff. Hell, I even surprise myself when I figure something out. But before I go into it, I have to show you the other things as well. Moonriver has figured out that the audio in the background of this game hides a secret. After she manipulated the audio a bit, you can hear a song, which I will play for you, and this is the best that I was able to clean it up as well, but she did most of the heavy lifting. Maybe you guys might know where it's from. Hey, who's over there setting the creep factor up to 10? I didn't say I wanted to hear little children singing weird songs at me. Hey guys, I know that this video is a little bit short, but I'm trying to make shorter videos here and trying to put something out. But don't worry, part 2 won't take as long as part 1. We still have a lot to go through, such as Josepheth and Abner, and I still need to tell you the big revelation I've had between these. So do whatever you want. Dislike, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want. I do not care anymore. Either way, part 2 will come out as fast as I can make it. The unknown developer has been very busy since I've been away, and it looks like I have to play catch up again. So have a good one, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.